Now, I certainly tend towards hyperbole when I talk about things, but I cannot stress enough. I will only say at the beginning of the video that I've got a lot of stuff that you need to see covered in a specific video if that is the case, and this is absolutely one of those videos. We are going to talk about Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. Very unfortunate. This just got announced a couple hours ago, and he's looking at the end of his life. It's an aggressive prostate cancer. We're going to talk about exactly what that looks like, and we're going to talk about the astronomical amount of impact that has reshaping and reframing events that have happened in the recent past, because oh my gosh, all right? And this is all happening in conjunction with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino announcing that they have forthcoming indictments and all kinds of stuff coming related to Russiagate, okay? They've uncovered new stuff about Russiagate. You got Trump dropping the Clinton body count last night on his X, and all of these things are converging. And the reason why the Biden cancer diagnosis is so important related to all of this is going to be because of how the process by which these pardons were given out prior to him leaving office, okay? So you have doctors that have been lying, okay? You have doctors that gave him a clean bill of health. Definitely, aggressive form of prostate cancer does not come out of left field where, oh my gosh, we had no idea. Now it's hormone responsive and all that. Anyway, so we're going to talk about all of that stuff. And you know what? Honestly, I'm just going to jump right into it. But believe me, okay, we're talking like earth-changing news in this particular video. So buckle up, dude. And let's get into the Biden cancer diagnosis. But the first thing I wanted to say before I even do any of that stuff is I had this moment last night. Okay, I want to take you on a super quick trip with me last night. Now, I've talked about this on the channel. If you guys are new to the channel, sometimes I'll share parts of my own life and how things impact me to like whatever. My point is, I don't really like very often. I've been doing it a little bit more recently. I mean, I think I went a decade without doing it once. I've been doing it a little bit more recently. And every once in a while when I do it, I have this epiphany about something. And last night I had an epiphany about Trump, and a big one, like froze me in place when I thought about this. Okay. So I want you guys to actually think about what it feels like to be him right now and what he actually accomplished, because this is all directly related to this. Okay. That's why I want to give you this preface. This is all related. Okay. Like, imagine that you are actually Donald Trump and you're sitting at the top of the government, and after going through the minefield, I don't even know how to describe the process that he went through in order to get to the seat that he is in right now, which is he's the president of the United States. He has consolidated all of his power. One thing that I think people have not thought about enough is the fact that Doge, while being a necessary, process to like reduce spending and such, was also a brilliant way to cloak a total purge of the federal government of people who were previously collaborators, people that had undermined his original presidency. And this is the thing. And the only way that I can communicate this in a way that that will be impactful for smart people is like this. Just imagine how helpless you are when you get into a new role that you've never done before, okay? Being president of the United States is one of the most complex things to navigate a person could ever imagine. And coming straight out of, the business world, having no government experience, Trump is human. He had no idea how to navigate the game that was being played on him in his first presidency, okay? So in his first presidency, it was undermined constantly. You had people who were telling him they had like incorrect troop counts in the Middle East, like lying to him about how many troops we had deployed, saying that they were doing things that they were not doing, just like outright borderline treasonous insubordination because the people who have always really run the world, the real string pullers, still had all of their people in the core positions of power across the government, okay? And so you got Trump in there, and Trump's doing the thing. He doesn't, he's kind of learning the lay of the land. And the people who really run the world are like, this is a 4-year problem. We're going to grind his presidency to a halt. We're going to tie him up in court. We'll run this Russiagate thing. We're going to do this. Everything was done to orchestrate his inability to do anything that he wanted to do while he was in government, smear him, and then make sure that he could not become president again. Okay, that is what you were looking at while he was in the office the first time, right? Now, he's new to the game, right? He had to learn, and he learned the hard way, right? He went through the absolute straight into the fire war because he had captured the most important seat in the world, and the entire cabal of the most powerful people in the world who run their entire operation through the use of the American government, which they've always controlled, suddenly did not have it. Okay, so you had the full force of all of these people with one target, and that's him. Okay? At the end of his presidency, he not only, loses the most suspicious election in the history of, at least in modern history. I don't care. Listen, guys, if you're hearing what I'm saying and you're having some kind of emotional reaction, I don't care if you hate Trump, like Trump, whatever. Okay. They changed the rules of the voting process in 2020. Okay. Completely changed the rules. They greenlit mail-in voting, all of this stuff. That was unbelievable. And now that we have the 2024 results and can compare them to 2020, 2016, and so on and so forth, there's one anomaly out of all of it, and that is that in 2020, somehow the Democrats got 15 million extra votes. Okay, these are just hard numbers. One big spike in 2020 during mail-in voting, and then back 2024, almost exactly what the Democrats had done for the last previous forever. Okay. Now, do I have total stone proof that they committed voter fraud? No. But like I said, suspicious at the very least. And then the January 6th thing happens, and it's used to kick him off of social media. Okay. Kick him off of social media, and then was also planned to be used to block him from being able to take office again. Okay. That's how powerful these people are. The people who are against him. Okay. They put cases on all the people around him. I feel like people don't remember that. That the people that were in the chairs with Trump who were on his team in the first one, Michael Cohen being the attorney that they flipped to create this nonsensical case in New York. Okay. Paul Manafort, they destroyed his life. They destroyed Paul Manafort's life. If you guys are new, don't remember, he was Trump's campaign manager. He was coming out of Ukraine. They used the Espionage Act or some bullshit, and they gutted him, dude. Took all of his money, buried him in jail. It's like they did this to these people who would have never been targeted otherwise, right? So Trump's out of office. He now officially has no social media outlet. He is, has been basically framed for inciting an insurrection. Okay. Do you guys understand that there is absolutely no question that if there was even a sliver of ability to actually prove that Trump had intended to cause an insurrection, that he would be in prison? I assume you guys know that. There was no way to prove it because it wasn't true. Okay. They tried their best. So that's where he's at in 2020. All right. And what does he do? He just goes, all right, I'll just run again. Okay. Now, I think basically every human on earth that's not him would have packed it in and gone and been a billionaire. He had any option he wanted. Okay. What does he do? He doesn't have access to social media anymore. He starts his own social media platform, right? Which ends up making him billions of dollars, but he makes his own, right? He gets right back on the campaign trail. He gives all of them the middle finger. Immediately they start with the legal stuff, right? The media slandering him constantly, but immediately that's when he starts catching cases. Remember all the cases that didn't even go to trial? You got the Georgia case, you had the New York case, you got all this, and all of them were bullshit because they fell apart, right? Like, remember when Bill Maher did his little monologue, and he was like, "We're, dude, this one it fell apart. This we're all the way down to this one case." And you're like, "Gee, I wonder why." Like, I wonder why you're down to this one case. And if we, if we need to I don't think we need to relitigate this unless you're new to my channel. But he got convicted in New York of 34 felonies for writing one check, which was an invoice being paid to his attorney. Okay. And the invoice he was just paying for the hush money that was paid to Stormy Daniels, which is completely legal. Okay. She signed a non-disclosure agreement. They paid her $100,000. The lawyer sent him the invoice. He pays the invoice. 34 felony conviction. Okay. Do you guys really think that that's like a legit, like that's a good use of the law? They got a woman who is a certified crazy person who said that he sexually assaulted her in the least believable story in the history of the world 32 years ago or whatever. Okay. No one could possibly in a court of any type have ruled in the favor of that woman. Like, there's not one bit of proof, nothing. Just her saying like, yeah, her story made no sense. When she did the interview on CNN, like Anderson Cooper literally almost stopped the interview because she's like, I didn't want to say that. She's talking about fighting him and stuff. She's like, I didn't want to say that because, it's like a grape fantasy. You know what I mean? Like a grape fantasy. You're all. Oh, I know a lot of women who have been violently assaulted and then make jokes about it being like a super hot fantasy. And like, that's one thing. Like, that story's a lie. Okay. Like, that story's a lie. And they awarded her $80 million, dude. Okay. You think that's like, whoop. They rigged the courts, obviously. Okay. They assessed a $500 million fine against him because he said his buildings were worth more than they actually were, according to them, when it's the bank's job to verify the value of the asset. It was never a crime. And they just were like, yeah. And so if you can't pay the $500 million in the next however long, we're going to seize all your buildings and seize all your stuff. They were going to strip him there and throw him in prison because he was running again. Okay. That was their deal. They're like, they did January 6th. They're like, as long as you don't run again, go live your life. Get the fuck out of politics. And he's like, I have an idea. How about no? Okay. And so then what happens, guys? He just says, no, I'm still going to run for president. In the face of seemingly insurmountable situation here, dude. Like, no one would look at that chessboard and be like, I can win here. Like, they had him by the balls. It appeared that these people had the control of every single aspect of government, media, etc. And he's by himself charging forward with the support of his supporters, And so in July, what happens? They tried to murder him. Okay. They tried to murder him in July. They shot him. Like, they shot an AR at his face. They tried to blow up his face on television. Okay. Like, obviously we're probably not going to be able to prove who, what, where, but the Secret Service had never once had counter snipers at a single Trump rally. Never. Okay. They never had counter snipers at a Trump, like, they had never had counter snipers ever. Very first time. CNN is live streaming the event. First time. CNN wants to live stream the Trump rally. And they said it was because, they were going to, because he said he might pick his running mate. Oh, so you're live streaming it because maybe he might pick his running mate? Does that add up to you guys? And people are like, I listen to people on these things. They're all, okay, God, that is so ridiculous. CNN was not live streaming it because of blah, blah, blah. You have this private equity firm that accidentally short sold Trump media. They would have made like a quadrillion dollars if he gets shot and died, and then they the next day flip it around and say, oopsie, it was a mistake, and it's George Soros and Dick Cheney and them in that fund. Okay, like, I don't think people understand how powerful those guys are. They could do whatever they wanted. They can kill Trump on national television, basically sign their name on it with that trade, and no one can do shit about it. Okay? Except they missed. They tried to take another shot with that other guy who was this Ukraine, the guy who'd been back and forth with Ukraine. Oh, yeah, I'm not an asset, dude. I'm just this kooky guy who's recruiting random people to go fight in Ukraine. Okay. Hey, how'd you get that gun? Anyway. And through all of that, he won. Okay? He wins the presidency. Now, this time, he understands the fucking chessboard. Okay? This ain't before. Now he understands the game. Why were they able to do all of that stuff to him before? Why were they able to do that? It's because they were in a conspiratorial cabal of people who all worked together and were aligned in one direction. Okay? Director of the FBI, director of the CIA, all of these guys, all the director of national intelligence, they're all in on it together because they control the levers of government. Okay? Trump won the presidency and he put people in each of those roles who had been targeted specifically by the last people who were in those roles. And so now you got to keep in mind, he's 4.5 months into his presidency, guys. 4.5 months into his presidency. He's just getting started, okay? Because phase one, my opinion, phase one, consolidate, centralize, and stabilize power, which he has done now. FBI, locked. CIA, locked. Director of National Intelligence, locked. Human Health Services, locked. All people who are all aligned and answer to Trump and will do what he asks. And now, this is where payback comes. And luckily for us, payback in the form for him is going to be justice for people who fucking deserve it. Okay? And again, I just went on a 16-minute preamble because it's important to understand that as we get into talking about Joe Biden's prostate cancer diagnosis, because it comes back to the pardons. Because this guy was absolutely in zero shape to be making any decisions on pardons, etc. And we already know that there were people around him who were writing the executive orders, who were doing the auto pen signature, all of that. We already know that because the Speaker of the House or the minority whip or whatever, I can't remember his name. He gave that interview and said that when the U.S. ceased all exports of natural gas to Europe, and he was like, why the hell would we have done that in the middle of the Ukraine war? It's just going to screw over all of our allies, so on and so forth. He asked Biden about it. Biden said that he had signed an executive order doing some kind of study on natural gas. They just lied to him, and then they did something that drastic behind his back, okay? Like, he was not running the country. Okay, the cabal was. And so now, right now, all of the levers of power that were being used against Trump before are now targeting them. He put up the Clinton fucking body count on social media yesterday. Okay? And then the day after that, he's got Dan Bongino and Kash Patel going public that they have found damning information on Russiagate that they're going to be releasing over the next 2 weeks. Like, I'm telling you, things that we thought were impossible to happen are happening right now. We're going to find out about the Epstein stuff. I actually think they are. I actually think that they are going to use whatever this Epstein stuff is, and we're going to find out like what's on these tapes. Like, I really believe that. I think if Bill Clinton is on one of those tapes, it's coming, dude. I really believe that now. I think that Trump is going to scalp these people. He, like, say what you want about the guy. Like, he is actually, like, and now that you can think about that, think about him as a person being the target of all of that and the position that he's in now, and just fucking imagine what that feels like, dude. Like, seriously, just actually imagine. Like, think about people trying to murder you. They wouldn't allow his son to, like, bank at their place. They wouldn't accept his son into schools in New York. Like the young son that he has with Melania. What, like, now what though? Just imagine what that feels like to be him. I would sit in the Oval Office by myself in silence for a long time. And I would just sit and think. And I would just look around and be like, I fucking did it. It's the ultimate game of human chess, dude. Like, he played the most high stakes, public, and impactful game of human chess that's ever been played. And he, thus far, has won. Because this is the thing, dude. They're going to have to take another shot at him, I think. They have to. Because now the writing's on the wall. He's fucking coming, dude. And that might not matter, dude. Even if they knocked him off with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino where they are, leaders of the FBI, the guys who can administer justice, even if they knock off Trump, it's probably done for them anyway. It won't matter. But one thing that I realized in that moment thinking about that is that I'm not really sure how I saw Trump as a whole. Like I thought, I'm like, he's really funny. He's really charismatic. He obviously has good ideas and like, we need to shake things up. And my opinion of him is completely different now. Like, and I was obviously a person who was supporting him. Now I think he's one of the greatest men to ever live. I really believe that, dude. That it's probably going to break the brain of people who hate him because the media has done such an incredible job of painting him in a light that they, are essentially brainwashed themselves into or have been instructed to do. But that is my opinion now. It's not going to change. So anyway, with that out of the way, let's talk about how this is all going to come down, though. Okay, so former President Joe Biden diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. The former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that is spread to the bone. A spokesman said May 18th. Now, do you guys know? I'm sorry. One more thing. It appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. The president and his family are reviewing treatment options this week. Okay, so what that means, though, is hormone responsive probably means that they're going to need to shut his testosterone down because testosterone affects prostate cancer. It's one of my biggest fears in the world is like something like that happening. And then they're like, oh, in addition to having cancer, like we have to take your testosterone to zero. And the reason that's so scary to me is because I know exactly what that feels like. And to add that on top of that, I feel for anyone who has ever gone through that or is going to go through that. And Joe Biden is not my enemy, dude. I said this on my stream last night about how the difference between whatever group I'm in, okay, and this 30% of Democrats over here is that when I heard that Joe Biden had been diagnosed with prostate cancer, I was like, man, that's terrible. Genuinely, like 100% genuine. There's no like smirk on the side of my face. Like I was like, oh man, that's awful. Like he's an American president. He dedicated his life to, being in the American government. Is he corrupt? Of course. Right? Like, of course. He's just your run-of-the-mill, corrupt senator, VP, whatever. But like, he was an American president. And that matters to me, as a patriot. Like, he matters. He's in the other party. I disagree with him on most things. But like, in all honesty, I don't think that almost any of the things that you saw during his presidency had a single thing to do with him, aside from him being a sock puppet that the deep state could wear the face of while they were doing everything else. And these pardons that are going to get undone are a perfect example of that, okay? Like, we all knew, you had to know that he wasn't making these decisions. You had to know that. He couldn't talk, okay? So I talked to one of my buddies very, very recently, and he was saying that he has experience with this type of prostate cancer, like someone in his family, and he's like, man, you're talking months here. Like, Biden's going to die very soon, is what he said. And that's important to note because he was given a clean bill of health within the last, year. Okay? So run me through. Oh, also, I wanted to show you guys this. So Trump's statement was, we extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. I'm telling you right now, I will fucking guarantee you that Trump is going to go see him in the hospital. I would bet my life on that. He'll go see him and he'll want to close the door and talk to him one-on-one. I don't think, like, these people over here, they don't understand him at all. They think they have an idea of him and they don't understand. Like, they don't understand him. But he's going to go talk to Biden one-on-one. I guarantee you that. And 30% of Democrats said that they wished that the assassin had been successful when they tried to murder Trump on CNN. They wanted to blow his face apart in front of the entire world. And they wish that would have happened. Okay? Now, those guys, those are not, like, they're in a different category. Okay? American president, I've got your back. Almost every single American, like, for the most part, I will have your back no matter what. Like, you get locked up in China, we could disagree on every single thing. It could be Leah fucking Thomas, dude. Okay, and she goes overseas to swim in a women's swim meet, and she goes and breaks a world record, and they lock her up in, like, Malaysia or something. And I know a lot of people will be all, leave her there. And I'd be like, fuck no, don't leave her there. She's American, dude. Like, geez, he's American. Sorry. Leah is American, or whatever the fuck his real name is. But I'd be like, no, dude, you bring him back here. Then we can, get back to arguing and whatever. But he's American. It matters, dude. Those people over there who would root for an American president to get violently murdered on national television in front of his kids and in front of his family, and they actually believe that they are the good guys, okay, they can either fix their brain or they could consider me not on their team, okay? Like, you guys are in a separate group. If you're weak-minded enough that you could get brainwashed into rooting for the public violent death of the American president, you talked your way out of my good graces, is the nicest way to put that. And if you actually believe that you are morally virtuous in that position, you are fucking delusional and you have no self-awareness and you are an embarrassment that should never, ever say a thing about how much you wish that he would have gotten killed in front of a person like me. I'll humiliate you, dude, in public. It's like, one way or the other, I will embarrass you. I'll make you look like the worst. I'll make you look like exactly what you are, actually. Like, I would never let that slide. I would never let a person say that in public without being like, oh, yeah? Hey, let's talk that out, Let's make sure to talk that out in front of everyone. And I would expose exactly how weak-minded, naive of actual violence and how disconnected you are from real life. But nonetheless, Trump and his family wished, Joe Biden a quick recovery, right? So here's what I wanted to show you guys also, okay? So check this out. Okay, hang on. So so this is Trump this morning, right? I'm sure that he found out about the cancer diagnosis before everybody else. So listen to what he said here. Whoever had control of the auto pen is looking to be a bigger and bigger scandal by the moment. This is because the pardons that are protecting Fauci and Hillary Clinton or whoever else, all the people that got those were signed by AutoPen. They were not signed by Joe Biden. They were signed by the AutoPen. And Joe Biden, there's no way that he knew about this, dude. Okay? So the AutoPen, so if you prove that and you get rid of those pardons, those guys, why do you think he's talking about this? Why do you think he's talking about this? It's because we're coming for them. Like, that's what's going on. And when I say we, I mean the American government. And that pardon that's protecting them, not valid, okay? It's a major part of a real crime that the presidential election of 2020 was rigged and stolen. Millions and millions of people knew that, but the radical left Democrats waged a campaign of inoculation and innocence like none that had ever been waged before. This is why the unselect committee of political thugs who were given a full and complete pardon by the person. Oh, that's a January 6 people. Yep. Again, conspirators, dude. Conspirators. They ran this huge show trial without and just picked and choose, like the security was walking with the guys around the entire, like the The QAnon shaman, they let him out of prison the day after Tucker Carlson showed that footage. Okay, do you know anybody who gets out of jail that fast? They're just like, oh shit. Because they got exposed. They had the guards walking him around the Capitol, taking pictures, photo op, dude. QAnon shaman. Did people behave poorly that day? Absolutely. Was it? Never mind. We don't even need to get into the weeds on January 6th. It's not relevant. But that's another group that he wants to put in prison, okay? So, was given a full and complete pardon by the person who wielded the now illegally used auto pen, deleted and destroyed all evidence and information from their corrupt and vicious witch hunt against me and many other people whose lives were completely shattered and destroyed by this historically criminal event. That's all accurate, dude. Okay, remember, it all began with a dirty cop, James Comey, Obama, a hapless and cognitive impaired sleepy Joe Biden, and my now very famous accusation that they spied on my campaign. True. Proven to be true now. Whoever had control of the auto pen is just the beginning. The biggest crime of all was the 2020 presidential election was rigged. MAGA won the election by millions of votes, and everyone knows it. God bless America, for the fight has just begun. I knew that he was going to come for the 2020 election. And let me tell you something, dude. Let me tell you something. Good luck convincing people that it wasn't rigged as soon as you can start looking at how they ended up with 15 million extra votes. 15 million extra votes. Exactly. Like, you're not going to convince me that 17 million more people came out to vote for Joe Biden than they did for Obama in 2008, dude. Okay, I was a grown-up in 2008. I remember. Okay, that was the most passionate, like, Democratic election. Everyone got out and voted. The people 21-year-olds were running to the polls, dude. And he said James Comey's going to jail. Perjury traps are next. Yeah. And, okay, hang on. So, this is the other thing. Here we go. Hang on. This is, trust me, you want to see this. So then there's the Clinton body count thing that he put up yesterday. Okay. And if by some reason you guys have not seen this.
John F. Kennedy Jr., he was declared the front runner for the New York Senate seat back in 1999. Days later, his plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, and his rival, Hillary Clinton, was elected senator. Mary Mahoney was a Clinton White House intern. She knew enough of the inner workings of Bill's sexual advancements to be a star witness during the Clinton impeachment trials. She was brutally executed at a Starbucks she was managing in 1997. In 1993, White House counsel Vince Foster was found dead in Fort Marcy Park near D.C. He supposedly killed himself, and among a lengthy list of potential foul play, the bullet was never found. Then there's James McDougal, a key witness for White House prosecutors. He was serving his 3-year sentence for bank fraud at the Fort Worth Federal Medical Center in Texas. And just before he was to give a testimony before the grand jury, McDougal suffered.
Anyway, that's the first minute of it. Like, this video, the Clinton body count, if you go, you can watch the whole thing. This is like a 90-minute documentary. You can watch it on BitChute after this. So, okay. And here is, where is it, dude? Okay, so, because I want to show you guys with the Joe Biden thing that he put up. Because it's like, everybody, and this is, like I said, dude, unlike others in this seat, we don't prejudice any case. We don't care what party you're elected to. If you broke the law, we're going to find out. We're going to investigate you. And look at this. Kash Patel announces new evidence linked to the Russiagate hoax has been found. I'm telling you and the American public, we have found material information and people who wanted to hide it from the world since we got in these seats. Okay. They are going to drop all of this. They have Epstein videos. They have the Russiagate stuff. It sounds like they're making headway on the 2020 election. Like, this is all going to come out. This is all going to come out. And I cannot wait to see how the mainstream media tries to run cover on this stuff when the evidence is exposed. Because they've already nuked their credibility for the most part. Most people at this point are getting information from places that are not, 3-letter networks. Okay? Except for JOF, which is Jesse on Fire, by the way. And if you know Dan Bongino, does this guy look like he's a person who's going to compromise with you? He's going to bury these motherfuckers. Him and Kash Patel are going to fucking bury them, dude. And maybe if they get someone really, really, really get someone by the balls, man. Okay, now, and then here, He's talking about child predators. This is all related to the Epstein stuff now. Now they're talking about they're coming for the Russiagate people. They've got new evidence on the Russiagate stuff. They're coming for the Epstein people. Okay? They're coming for the 2020 election. Let me ask you this. Let's say that there was a conspiracy in Butler to take the shot at Trump. You think it's impossible that they get someone in the box who's facing 50 years in prison to talk? Maybe you actually get someone to talk. I, like everyone else, had assumed there's no way we would ever find out who was behind that. If there was, in fact, a conspiracy, how are we going to find that out? This is how. This is the trail that leads to the biggest conspiracy of all time, which was the conspiracy to murder Donald Trump on national television. So if that's real, this is a way that they can get to them. And I promise you that is going to be a high priority for these guys. And if we find out that that is true, that is the first thing, like death penalty. 100%. Like just death penalty. Not another day alive, dude. Anybody that gets proven to have been a part of that, to orchestrate the murder of the American president. Okay. Now check this out. This is a statement from Joe Biden, okay? Last week, President Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of prostate nodule after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms, okay? I know about this stuff, okay? Like, you don't just experience urinary symptoms. Like, you have, that means it's super advanced, okay? You're telling me that at 80 fucking whatever years old he is, when he does his annual physical, they're not doing a prostate cancer test? They do that shit on me. Like, he's 40 years old or 40 whatever, like 40 lot. He's way older than me, dude. You're telling me they weren't testing him for prostate cancer for the last 2 years? 3 years, whatever? Give me a break. Which means they knew almost certainly, right? They almost certainly had to know. And they also for sure knew that he had declining cognitive ability, and they ran him anyway, dude, because that was their best case scenario. They wanted to, they had Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Okay, what do they know for sure about Kamala Harris? She is going to go along with what they tell her to, because what else is she going to do? She doesn't fucking know anything. If they say, oh, we need to pause exports on natural gas to blah, blah, blah. Do you think she understands the natural gas markets in Europe enough to where she's going to push back, or she's just going to say yes? She wants the power, but dude. And so you get Joe Biden there, who has no brain. And then if and when he dies, if he gets reelected, who becomes president? Kamala Harris, okay? They don't care if he has prostate cancer. That's the point. These people were puppets for the real bad actors, right? The ones who have been, string pulling. Like, they're going down. Here's the thing, too, to think about, though. This is really important, actually. So in these communist revolutions, okay, I always think about this, dude. In these communist revolutions, they galvanized the populace, right? The people who were considered like normal society against the kind of like robber barons, right? Like the producers of all, the people who produced everything. And when they had these communist revolutions, they killed those people. They seized their production, and they killed those people. And what happened is it led to mass starvations, because while they may have had business practices that were whatever, they were the ones who knew how to mass produce food. And so they took them down there. All right, we got them. And it's like, well, you got yourself. Now we live in a different world now. That's not something, but I just mean, like, I always leave room to consider that these people who are the string pullers, they know a lot more about the world than I do. That, there might be lots of intricate things that are working in tandem that I don't understand, but that's giving them a tremendous amount of leeway, which I'm not sure at all that they deserve. But here you go. Check this out, dude. Look at this. This is from 9 months old. It's a Joe Biden can barely walk. Something horrible has happened. It's not COVID. Look at that. And they still were running him for president. And it wasn't until he melted down on national television that they pulled him. And here's Trump saying that he's saddened to hear about the recent diagnosis. Now, I've been talking for almost 40 minutes, so I'm just going to say this. Telling people how they should feel is not my place, not anybody else's place. People are going to feel the way they're going to feel. But like I said, a person who feels like they wish that that bullet would have hit Trump in the face, that's a problem for me. Now, people on the right, if hearing that Joe Biden has cancer makes you like happy, okay, like it's not as bad as that. Obviously, as like a violent death, like this is a naturally occurring thing, but you should examine why you feel that way. You know, like there's no reason that people should be happy about an American president getting a death sentence. You know what I mean? Unless they earned it. You know, like in the event if Biden had been the one who orchestrated the Butler thing, like I was just talking about, which he definitely didn't, because he couldn't orchestrate ordering a fucking bag of fries from McDonald's, you know? But, yeah, here you go. See? Most dangerous cover-up in the history of the presidency. Last summer, White House physician Dr. Kevin O'Connor swore to the American people that Joe Biden was completely fit for the presidency. No issues, nothing to see. Now Biden has advanced prostate cancer, and it takes 10 years to develop. Exactly. And not to mention, oh, he's passing all of his cognitive tests, huh? Really? He's passing his cognitive tests? Who's giving them? They're all, hey, what color is this? He's like, dog. You're all, no, it's not dog. It's green. Can you say green? He's like, green. Oh, all right, that's good. It's fine. We just need him to stand there. You know, we just kind of need him to stand there. Imagine what kind of people, okay? Like, do you think that the people who were putting him into office care about the United States? Like, I'm serious. This is a serious question. Last thing I'm going to leave you guys with. The people who were behind having Joe Biden run the second time, okay? Do you think they care about America? Because my main problem, the first Trump presidency, you guys have just listened to me talk. Like, you know where I'm at on Trump, dude. But the first Trump presidency, I was not where I was. And one of the main reasons was I was like, dude, the president of the United States represents the entire country and is going out to these different countries representing us. And it was another thing about like just being underqualified was my main issue. Now he's the most qualified person in the world to do what he's doing. But they had no problem with sending out this doddering old, falling over dementia guy to represent us in these talks. They don't, that if there, you couldn't possibly get a better metaphor that illustrates that America's strength, America's prosperity is definitely not their goal. It's the exact opposite. So that's what I got for today. I love you guys. Bye-bye.